She walked into the wrong hotel room and found a half-naked stranger in the shower. What happened next trapped them together for one night and changed both their lives forever. Emma stood in the grand lobby of the Royal Palace Hotel in downtown Chicago, feeling completely out of place. The marble floors beneath her feet gleamed like mirrors, and the massive crystal chandelier above her head sparkled like 1,000 stars. She had never been anywhere this fancy in her entire life. Her small, beat-up suitcase suddenly felt embarrassing as she rolled it toward the front desk. The woman behind the counter was busy on the phone, barely looking up as Emma approached. Emma cleared her throat softly and said hello. Without ending her call, the receptionist slid a key card across the polished desk with a quick smile. "Room 805, ma'am. Enjoy your stay." Emma grabbed the card, whispered a thank you, and followed the golden signs to the elevators. Inside the mirrored elevator, she caught sight of her own nervous smile. She was in Chicago for a job interview, the kind that could change everything for her. Just a few days here, she thought to herself, and then my whole life might be different. When the elevator doors opened on the 8th floor, Emma walked down the long hallway with its thick red carpet until she found her room number. Room 8005. The door beeped and clicked open easily. But the moment she stepped inside, her breath caught in her throat. This was not the small room she had booked. This was enormous. Probably 3 times bigger than what she expected. Golden curtains hung from floor to ceiling windows that showed the entire Chicago skyline glittering in the evening light. A huge bed sat in the middle of the room, covered in silk sheets with golden embroidery. Fresh roses in a crystal vase filled the air with their sweet smell. "This can't be right," Emma whispered to herself, looking around in shock. She checked her key card again, then shrugged. Maybe they upgraded me, she thought. Maybe they felt bad about the long wait at the front desk. Her tired body did not care about solving this mystery right now. With a deep sigh of relief, she dropped her suitcase on the bed and sat down. The mattress felt like sitting on a cloud. She kicked off her shoes and pulled off her travel clothes, wrapping herself in the fluffy white robe hanging near the closet. Her heart felt lighter as she walked barefoot across the soft carpet toward the bathroom, ready to wash away all the exhaustion from her long journey. She opened the bathroom door and stepped into the warm, steamy air. That is when her entire world stopped moving. Standing in front of the large glass shower, with steam swirling around him, was a man. He was tall, easily over 6 feet, with broad shoulders that looked carved from stone. A white towel hung low around his waist, and water droplets slid down his muscular chest. His dark hair was wet, pushed back from a face so handsome it almost did not seem real. This was James Carter, though Emma had no idea who he was at that moment. But even without knowing his name, she could feel the power radiating from him. This was a man who was used to being in control, used to having the world bend to his will. His sharp eyes snapped toward her. For a moment, neither of them moved. Emma's mouth fell open. Her brain screamed at her to run, to apologize, to do something, but her body was frozen in pure shock. "What the hell?" James's deep voice cut through the silence like a knife. "I'm so sorry," Emma stammered, clutching her robe tighter around her shaking body. "They gave me the wrong key. I didn't know anyone was here. I thought this was my room." She spun around to run back through the door, but her foot slipped on the wet bathroom tiles. In a heartbeat, she was falling forward, crashing straight into his bare chest. His arms caught her instantly, strong and steady, wrapping around her to keep her from hitting the floor. Time seemed to freeze completely. Emma's wide, terrified eyes met his sharp, intense gaze. Her face burned with embarrassment, and her heart pounded so hard against her ribs she thought it might burst. She was painfully aware of everything: the warmth of his skin, the strength of his arms holding her, the masculine scent of soap and cologne that surrounded him. For one long, breathless moment, neither of them moved. Then Emma gasped and tore herself away from him, stumbling backward. "I didn't mean to. I swear I didn't." Her words tumbled out in a rush as she ran out of the bathroom. Behind her, James stood completely still, one hand gripping his towel, his face showing total disbelief. A stranger had just burst into his private suite wearing nothing but a robe. And yet, something about the innocent fear in her brown eyes stayed with him. Emma stumbled back into the suite, her chest heaving like she had just run a marathon. Her robe clung to her trembling body, and her damp hair stuck to her flushed cheeks. She could not even look at him, this stranger, this half-naked man who had just caught her like she weighed nothing. Her heart would not slow down. The room suddenly felt too small, too intimate, too dangerous. I'm sorry, she stammered again, her voice high and breathless. I shouldn't be here. I'll leave right now. She rushed to the door and grabbed the golden handle, twisting it hard. Nothing happened. The door would not move. She tried again, pushing her shoulder against the heavy wood. Still nothing. No, 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 Emma whispered frantically, pulling with all her strength. Behind her, James walked out of the bathroom, his bare feet silent on the thick carpet. His towel still hung low on his hips, water droplets sliding down his chest as he crossed the room calmly. His face showed no emotion, but his sharp eyes never left her. You're wasting your energy, he said coolly. His deep voice carried authority, the kind that made people stop and listen whether they wanted to or not. He reached past her and tried the handle himself, pulling firmly, then harder. The door did not budge. A muscle twitched in his jaw. It's locked. Emma's stomach dropped like a stone. What do you mean locked? Hotel doors don't just lock themselves. Her voice cracked with rising panic. James pressed the intercom button on the wall phone. Silence. He tried again. Nothing. He frowned. The phone line is dead. Emma sank onto the edge of the bed, burying her face in her hands. This can't be happening. I was just trying to check into my room. I wasn't supposed to be here. James studied her carefully, crossing his arms over his bare chest. The soft golden light from the lamps caught on his damp skin. There was both irritation and curiosity in his gaze. So what are you? He asked evenly. A thief? A reporter? Or just careless? Her head snapped up, eyes wide with hurt. I told you, they gave me the wrong key. I don't even know who you are. That seemed to amuse him. His lips curved into a smile that held no warmth. Then let me introduce myself. James Carter. The name made Emma's breath catch. She knew that name. Everyone did. James Carter, billionaire investor, real estate mogul, the man whose face appeared on magazine covers and business news channels. She was standing here, half naked, in his private suite. Her pulse quickened. This was so much worse than she thought. Mr. Carter, I swear I didn't mean to. Save it, he cut her off, walking to the mini bar and pouring himself amber whiskey into a crystal glass with steady hands. You're here now, and it looks like neither of us is leaving until the hotel fixes whatever mess they've made. He took a slow sip, his eyes never leaving her trembling figure. Emma clutched her robe tighter, her mind spinning wildly. Locked in a room with James Carter. No escape. No one answering the phones. The realization hit her with cold finality. She was trapped with him. And as the night stretched ahead of them, filled with silence and tension, neither of them knew that this moment would change both their lives forever. Sometimes the universe locks two souls together for a reason. And sometimes the wrong door is actually the right one all along. If you're feeling the emotion of this story right now, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. Your support helps these heartwarming stories reach people who need to hear them. Let's spread this message of hope and second chances together. Now, let's continue with Emma and James's journey. The room was too quiet. Only the soft hum of the air conditioner and the occasional sound of James's glass touching the table broke the silence. Emma sat on the edge of the bed, gripping her robe so tightly her knuckles turned white. She refused to look at him, but she could feel his gaze, heavy and intense, watching her every nervous movement. James leaned against the mini bar with casual confidence, one hand resting at his side while the other held his drink. His damp hair had started to dry, leaving it slightly tousled. Every sip he took seemed deliberate, a reminder that he was in control, even in this chaos. Relax, he finally said, his voice smooth but firm. No one's going to hurt you. You're shaking like you're afraid of me. Emma's eyes flashed up at him with a mix of fear and defiance. I'm not afraid of you. I just don't belong here. A low chuckle rumbled from his chest. You're right about that. But here we are anyway. He paused, then added more softly. Sometimes life has a strange sense of humor. Emma looked away, her gaze dropping to the floor where her small bag lay forgotten. She wanted to argue, to shout, to cry, but she was too exhausted. The fear had drained everything out of her. James noticed the way her shoulders slumped, the fight slowly leaving her body. He poured another glass of whiskey and held it out toward her. Drink. Her eyes widened. I don't drink. Then start. His tone was firm but not cruel. He stepped closer, holding the glass just inches from her trembling hands. It'll calm your nerves. Unless you prefer sitting there looking terrified all night. She hesitated, then almost against her will, reached out and took the glass. It was heavy and cool in her hands, the amber liquid glowing under the soft light. Emma raised it slowly to her lips and took a cautious sip. The burn was immediate and shocking. Her throat caught fire, and she coughed violently, her eyes watering. James laughed, a genuine, unguarded laugh that surprised her. "Easy," he said, shaking his head with amusement. "It's whiskey, not juice." Something shifted in that moment. The sound of his laughter was not as cold as his stare had been. For the first time since she met him, Emma saw a crack in his armor, a hint of something warmer underneath. She took another small sip, this time prepared for the burn. Her face twisted at the bitterness, but James's slight smirk encouraged her. Before long, the sharp heat dulled into a warmth that spread through her chest. Her breathing slowed. The panic began to fade. Minutes turned into an hour. They sat together on the bed, glasses in hand, the locked door temporarily forgotten. James told stories about ruthless business deals and close failures, his tone sarcastic but surprisingly honest. Emma found herself laughing, really laughing, at his sharp wit and dry humor. Her own laughter shocked her. How could she be laughing in this situation? Trapped, half-dressed, drinking with a man like him. But the whiskey had softened her fear. And James's presence, though overwhelming, was not as terrifying as it had been before. At one point, she leaned back too far while laughing and nearly spilled her drink. James's hand shot out instinctively, steadying her by the waist. His touch was warm, lingering just a moment longer than necessary. Their eyes locked. The laughter faded completely. Neither spoke. The silence was heavier this time, charged with something Emma could not name. She swallowed hard, her chest rising and falling too quickly. James's thumb brushed lightly against her skin before he slowly drew his hand back. He looked away, his jaw tightening, and reached for his drink again. Emma clutched her glass like it was the only thing keeping her grounded. The whiskey had loosened her guard, but it also made her reckless. For the first time, she wondered if she should fear him, or herself. As the night stretched on, filled with shadows, whiskey, and unspoken tension, the locked door was no longer the only trap. Something deeper was pulling them together, something neither of them could control. The whiskey had done its work. Emma felt lighter now, her fear replaced by a strange warmth. She sat cross-legged on the bed, her robe loose around her shoulders, her damp hair falling softly against her face. James sat beside her, leaning back against the headboard like he owned not just this room, but the entire world. His towel had loosened around his waist, showing more of his sculpted body than Emma tried, and failed not to notice. "You're terrible at drinking," he teased, swirling the amber liquid in his glass. His lips curved into a playful smirk. "I've never seen someone cough so much from one sip." Emma giggled, a sound that surprised even herself. She quickly covered her mouth, but James's eyebrow arched with amusement. "There it is," he murmured, his voice low and smooth. "You finally laughed without being afraid." Her cheeks warmed, not just from the alcohol, but from the way his eyes lingered on her, as though he was memorizing every detail about her. They kept talking, their words flowing easily now between teasing banter and unexpected confessions. Emma admitted she had never traveled much beyond her small hometown. James admitted he hated how everyone around him wanted something, money, favors, power, but never truly wanted him. "People see me as a bank account," he said quietly, staring into his glass. "Not as a man." Something about his tone made Emma's heart squeeze. For the first time, he did not sound like the untouchable billionaire. He sounded lonely. "I see you," she whispered before she could stop herself. Their eyes met, and the air between them shifted completely. The laughter died. The banter faded. All that remained was the pounding of Emma's heart and the slow, steady rise and fall of James's chest. He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. His fingers brushed against her damp hair, tucking it gently behind her ear. She shivered at the simple touch, her heart thundering in her chest. "You should sleep," he murmured, though his hand lingered longer than necessary. Her breath caught. "I don't think I can." James's hand fell, but not far. It grazed her arm, slid down to her wrist, and paused there. Emma did not pull away. The whiskey, the warmth, the strange pull between them, it was too much. Before she realized what was happening, she leaned into him. His scent, fresh soap, warmth, and whiskey, flooded her senses. Then it happened. His lips brushed against hers, soft at first, hesitant, as if testing a boundary. Emma's breath hitched, but she did not move away. Instead, she tilted her head, closing the distance between them. The kiss deepened. Years of walls came crashing down in a single moment. Her glass slipped from her hand, landing softly on the thick carpet. James's strong arms wrapped around her, pulling her against his bare chest. Her robe shifted dangerously as his touch ignited every nerve in her body. They collapsed backward onto the bed, tangled together, lost in each other. The world outside the locked door ceased to exist. In the shadows of that luxury suite, whiskey and desire erased all reason. By the time exhaustion finally claimed them, they were wrapped in each other's arms, the sheets pulled loosely over their bodies. Neither noticed when Emma's robe finally slipped away completely. Morning sunlight crept through the half-drawn curtains, filling the room with golden light. Emma stirred first, her body warm and heavy beneath the soft sheets. For a fleeting moment, she thought she was back in her own bed, safe and sound. But then she felt the heat beside her, real and undeniable. Her eyes snapped open in horror. James lay half-naked beside her, his muscular chest rising and falling in slow, steady breaths. His arm was draped protectively across her waist. The sheet had slipped low, exposing more of his body than she could bear to see. Emma looked down at herself and froze completely. The sheet clung to her bare skin. Her robe was gone. And then she saw it, the faint smear of blood on the pristine white sheets. Her hands shot to her mouth to stifle the scream building in her chest. Her heart pounded so violently she thought it might tear free from her body. Tears blurred her vision as shame, fear, and disbelief crashed over her like a wave. "No," she whispered hoarsely. "No, no, no." Her movement woke James. His eyes blinked open, sharp and alert even in half-sleep. For a moment he stared at the ceiling, trying to orient himself. Then his gaze slid to Emma. He froze too. The blood. The disheveled sheets. Her trembling body beside him. Their eyes locked, both wide with shock and horror. "Did we?" James's voice was rough, low, uncertain. Emma could not answer. She was shaking too violently, clutching the sheets to her chest as if they could shield her from the truth. James sat up slowly, his face grim and haunted. He ran a hand through his hair and exhaled heavily. You were a virgin." Her silence was answer enough. The tears rolling down her cheeks told him everything he needed to know. He swore under his breath, his jaw clenching tight. For once, the powerful billionaire looked utterly powerless. "I didn't mean for this to happen," he said quietly, his voice heavy with guilt. "I swear, Emma, I didn't know." But his apology could not erase the crimson stain on the sheets, nor the way Emma's entire world had just collapsed around her. She scrambled off the bed, wrapping the sheet around her body like armor. Her bag lay where she had dropped it the night before. She grabbed it with trembling hands, her sobs breaking the heavy silence. "I have to go," she choked out, her voice cracking. "I can't, I shouldn't have." She stumbled to the door, fumbling desperately with the handle. And this time, as if mocking her pain, it opened effortlessly. The barrier that had trapped them together all night was suddenly gone. Without another word, she fled, her tears trailing behind her like shattered glass. James sat frozen on the bed, staring at the blood stain that marked what could never be undone. For the first time in years, he felt something he could not control. 3 weeks later, James could not stop thinking about her. Every night he replayed Emma's tear-streaked face, the way she had fled from his room. He had tried to focus on work, on the billion-dollar deals that once defined his entire existence. But nothing could drown out the echo of his guilt. He sent flowers to her hotel room. He left notes at the front desk. Every single one came back unanswered. Still, he did not give up. One afternoon, he found himself standing outside her door once again. He knocked softly. "Emma," his voice was low, almost pleading. "Please, just let me talk to you." Inside, Emma sat frozen on her bed, her hands resting protectively over her stomach. Over the past few days, she had noticed things: exhaustion that would not go away, waves of nausea, a sudden hatred for the smell of certain foods. And that morning, she had taken a test. 2 red lines. Positive. She was pregnant. The truth crashed down on her like a collapsing building. Her life was now tied forever to the man on the other side of that door. When she finally opened it, James's face filled her vision. He looked tired, his sharp features softened by worry. The billionaire who always seemed untouchable now stood before her, completely vulnerable. "What do you want?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "I want to make this right," he said immediately. "I want to understand. To fix what happened." Her lips quivered. She wanted to push him away again. But the weight of her secret would not let her. "You can't fix it," she said, tears spilling freely. "Because it's not just me anymore. James's brows furrowed in confusion. What do you mean? Her hands went instinctively to her stomach. The gesture said more than any words ever could. His breath caught. His body stiffened. Emma, no. She nodded, sobbing softly. I didn't ask for this. I didn't want this. But I'm pregnant. The world seemed to stop. James staggered back half a step, his hand raking through his hair, his face pale. For once, the man who never lost control was completely shaken. I'm sorry, he whispered, his voice raw with emotion. You have every right to hate me. But believe me when I say, you will never walk through this alone. I will take responsibility. For you. For our child. Emma searched his eyes, looking for lies, for manipulation. But all she saw was sincerity stripped of all pride. For the first time since that night, she felt the faintest flicker of hope. 6 months later, the Chicago skyline glittered through the tall windows of James's penthouse. Emma stood in the beautifully decorated nursery, cradling their newborn son in her arms. His tiny fists curled peacefully, his face soft and innocent. James entered quietly, dressed casually in jeans and a simple shirt. Gone was the cold billionaire mask he once wore. He kissed Emma's forehead gently, then bent down to kiss their son. I never thought I'd find love in the middle of chaos, he murmured, wrapping his arms around both of them. Emma smiled, her heart finally at peace. And I never thought a mistake could give me my forever. The camera of fate panned out slowly, showing the happy family bathed in golden evening light, the city stretching endlessly below them. Because sometimes the wrong door truly does lead you home. Sometimes love is born not from perfection, but from mistakes, forgiveness, and the courage to try again. You don't have to be enough for the world. You just need to be enough for the one who truly sees you. Thank you so much for watching this emotional journey with me. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to Tales by M. Bell and turn on notifications so you never miss our next story. Drop a comment below and let me know where you're watching from. I love hearing from you all around the world. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that even mistakes can lead to beautiful beginnings. Until next time, remember, sometimes the wrong door leads you exactly where you're meant to be.